Yo, what's up, people? Hope everyone's well. Weather's not great right now, but oh well. I was just like kind of waiting to see if it would like kind of ease, and it has, but it's just still a bit drizzly. So I want to have a bit of a rant about this whole thing of jack of all trades versus master of one, and I think that the problem is that people. I'll talk about it in a sec because there's nobody here. So, but yeah, just been thinking about this. How right? How's everybody doing? I thought I'd just come back because I'm just kind of walking to the shop and just got a few bits. But this whole thing of like jack of all trades, master of one, or master of one, or whatever. You know what I mean? All right, Mike. Okay, no worries. Hello, Pedro. Good to see you again. How are you doing? So I want to talk about this thing of how people don't seem to really value someone who's good across the board. They only seem to be interested in someone who's really mastered one thing, instead of someone who is pretty good at a lot of things. Like if someone, say, for example, when it comes to like fitness, if you're someone who is a pretty good runner, is pretty strong and pretty fit across the board, has good mobility, but the thing is that person isn't, they're not world class in any of those things, but they are really pretty good at all of them. Like they're probably about let's say if we're gonna measure it on a scale of 0 to 10, they're probably like a 7 or an 8 across the board. And that to me is just as impressive as someone who is a 10 just one thing and like a 3 in everything else. It's like we should sort of like value that. I think, I don't know, but I suppose in some cases it's like we're not going to value that the same. For example, if you're a musician, we want to hear good music. We don't want to hear decent music, but we want to hear the best music, sort of thing. And hope you're all well. Hello, Drone. Hello, Dev. How you doing? I hope you're well. Hit the like button. That would be really appreciated. If you're new here, please subscribe. But like, I don't know, it's just this whole thing of like people getting rewarded for being, master of one. And in some cases I feel like, I suppose there is things out there like, for example, CrossFit, that is about kind of, for example, when it comes to fitness, that they have a kind of, they have pretty good discipline across the board. Like they have, a decent amount of cardio, a decent amount of strength, a decent amount of mobility, a decent amount of power, which makes you a very well-rounded fitness person, really. I'd argue that a person who is only really good at one thing is not that fit, because they've neglected everything else. They've sacrificed all other aspects of fitness for one, which makes them overall not a very fit person at all. That's a problem I have with a lot of the fitness stuff, is that it's just very like one-sided, and it's all about building muscle and strength or whatever. But to me, that is not fitness, especially the way that they go about it. I'm in the UK. Where are you from? So that's the problem I have with this kind of, that there just seems to be this whole thing about, when it's like they talk about fitness, but yet all they do is talk about building muscles and stuff like that and getting stronger or whatever. But it's like that, muscles are more just the result, rather than that should be something of like, it's like the way you look is more of like the product of the byproduct of the fitness, but it doesn't necessarily say that someone is that fit. Like someone could have a six-pack and then they're not necessarily the fittest person because they don't have very good conditioning across the board. So that's the thing, right? And but like I said, you know, if you're pretty good at running, pretty good at, you know, say like, or any kind of cardio type of thing, rowing, cycling, whatever, and also pretty strong and pretty flexible and all these different things, isn't that person more fit overall than the person who is just like a 10 out of 10 at, say, just lifting weights or something? Well, I'm just walking at the moment, Stacey, but the weather's a bit horrible at the moment, so I might have to not stay on too long because they're kind of hitting the screen, and if it gets too bad, then it, you know. But like I said, you know, like I personally think we should be trying to be fit across the board. And I think that's something that should be valued. I don't know, like now there is things like CrossFit and High Rocks and stuff like that, which is about hybrid training, and I think there's a value to like doing mixed discipline sort of training and being good across the board rather than only being like super good at one thing and then shit at everything else. Hi Carrie, hope you're well. Oh no. Okay. Right, so hit that like button, everybody. Thank you very much. So I'm doing okay, thank you. I'm just talking about how we should value it when people are good across the board. I could come up with a bunch of examples of how I'm, you know, overall way fitter than most people, but nobody seems to give a damn, you know. Not many people seem to care. It's like I can do over 200 bodyweight squats without stopping. Yeah, that's nowhere near a world record or anything like that. Most people would just be like, oh, that's not that impressive. But it's compared to what most guys can do. Most guys can only do about maybe not even 100. So, you know, I don't think they would be able to do even 100. If you've got the average guy, they're not even going to be able to do 100 bodyweight squats non-stop. I can do 80 plus bodyweight, 80 plus squats with a 20 kilogram barbell on me, you know. But I can also squat over 100 kilograms. I can deadlift. I deadlifted the other day 150 kilograms. I can also run pretty fast. Run mile in under 7 minutes. I can run long distances. I can sprint pretty fast as well. I can also, what else can I do? I've also started being able to do pull-ups and stuff. I was never able to do that, but now I can do that. Fuck off. Fucking sad, pathetic fucking people. Right, so like I said, you know, no one seems to give a fuck. You know, I can do all these things, but unless I was just so good in one way, then people just don't seem to care. I don't know. Like, isn't it just as impressive to be like really good across the board? Well, I put so much time into my fitness and so much energy into it. Like, why am I not, you know, sort of like, I think I deserve to be like known and be more recognized for that, you know. I'm just saying, like, I should be way more successful. I should have a lot more people watching. Like, I've got a lot of achievements of the fitness, but no one seems to give a fuck because they won't like watch and see like what you're about and, you know, put everything into a context. Because the person who's, say, like so good at one thing, they literally just dedicate their life to that one thing, and that's all they're good at, you know. Yeah, sure, it's impressive, but what I do, I'd argue, is just as impressive because of the work ethic and what I put into it. Go fuck off. So I'm just saying, like, that I should be more successful. You know, it's like I'm having to fucking put these fucking like titles just to kind of like try and fucking. It's kind of annoying, but it's like, what else am I supposed to fucking do? You know? No one seems to give a fuck. Unless I just be annoying and just like whatever. But it's like, if I took like probably over 90% of guys, I'd whoop their ass at everything. But yeah, no one seems to be really care about it, you know, like if I, across the board, I would whoop their fucking ass. You know? But people still don't take me fucking seriously. Like, it's just, yeah, because people only want to see, like, someone be, like, kind of, super good in one thing. Like, for example, you'll see some people do some crazy, like, parkour shit, right? But it's like, they've dedicated their whole life to that one thing, you know? Or someone become, like, a world champion at, like, a marathon or something, I don't know. But why is that better than someone who is good across the board, who has good overall conditioning? You know, isn't that just as impressive? I don't understand, I don't know, it's just, I guess it's just people's short attention spans. They're not going to look and see what's that person about, what is their achievements across the board. You know, that's what I'm kind of like saying. It's like, because if, say, for example, I did, you know, I've shown that I can do 200 plus bodyweight squats, then if that was the only thing that I did, that's not that impressive. But in the context of everything else, it's really impressive because it shows a lot of determination and dedication. You know? I hope you understand what I'm saying here. I don't know. It's like you see these people doing these really extreme things, but it's like if I just dedicated everything to that one thing, surely I could get to a crazy level, but because I don't specialize, and I'm more of a generalist when it comes to this stuff, I'm like, people just don't really appreciate it as much. Even though I still put effort in and I still, you know, it just feels like, you know, you're fighting an uphill battle, and it's like if you want to be more of a well-rounded athlete, then it feels like you're just kind of, I don't know how I'm supposed to like show that I'm like exceptional in all areas. It's like when I try and get people doing my fitness stuff, and most of them can't even do half the shit I can do. Like when I try and get people involved in it, and it's like most of them can't even squat deep. Like a lot of people can't even do that. You know, a lot of people can't even jump very high, or like most of them probably couldn't even do more than 10-20 jump squats. But yeah, I've got on record of me doing over 50 of them in a single set without stopping. Like I said, I've done over 80 squats with a 20 kilogram barbell. I've done 130 squats with a fucking backpack full of water bottles. Hello Alondra, how you doing? I hope you're well. Just ranting about this whole fucking thing where it's like, you know, I've got all these achievements and stuff, but it's like, unless I become super specialized and like have this kind of, you know, where I can be like world class in one area, people don't give a fuck. You know, it's like I could be the most well-rounded athlete and have, you know, like be 7, 8 out of 10 in every area of fitness, but nobody gives a fuck unless you're 10 out of 10 in one area. You know? Does anyone actually agree with me there? Because I just find it a bit frustrating where it's like, I put all this effort in, you know, I work my ass off trying to do a fitness, and it's like, where am I going with it all? Is that, you know, are people actually going to start to fucking, and yeah, there's a few people that appreciate it, but it's like, but there's people who just like become, you get millions of fucking subs because they're like, because they've hyper specialized in one area. Yes, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's just this whole thing of like the, you know, people are, I'm not saying I'm like the best at anything, but like, you know, I'm not saying I'm the most well-rounded person, but I'm way more well-rounded than most. And I feel like I stand out. I also have a lot of other talents in other areas. Like I can learn things pretty fast and just like I've got a lot of skills, but it's like, unless I'm world class in one area, then people just don't really care. But it is what it is, you know. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be like being like this, but it just gets me a bit bitter sometimes, because I'm like, because that's how I am. I don't want to just be specializing in one thing, because that would be incredibly boring. And now some people might say, well, that's part of the discipline, that you have to just do one thing. But it's like, why should we have to be like that? Why can't we just, you know, specialize in and be, why? That's boring, you know? Wouldn't it be more fun to just like actually have good, you know, a mix of like abilities and stuff? I don't know. Well, I don't want to just be a specialist, because that would just be incredibly boring and just like, yeah, just only getting good with one thing. But I don't know. I'm okay, thank you, Haley. I'm just saying about this whole thing of, the whole sort of jack of all trades, master of none, and how people just seem to not really appreciate it. It's like being pretty good at a lot of things or everything. Well, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say it's possible to be good at everything, but like, it's good you can be pretty good at a lot of things, but then you can only really master one or two things, because you can only put so much time and energy into one thing, and it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's a bit frustrating how the people just don't seem to value that so much. Like I'll put up some videos and we're doing something that seems pretty impressive, but then because it's not anywhere near like world class or whatever you call it, like some kind of champion or whatever, then people will be like, that's, you know, it's pretty good, but you know, I've seen a lot better. But then, like I said, they've dedicated their whole lives to that one thing, you know. But this is what I was talking about with the whole fitness thing, because I'd rather be like strong but also athletic and have good cardio over being just like some kind of guy who just all they do is lift weights and then get out of breath because they have no cardio. Like, I'd rather have the good mix of disciplines and be like someone who can basically like put my hand to anything. It's good. I think it's good to be well-rounded and be pretty good across the board. That's the problem. If you only, let's say, for example, a marathon runner, they're going to probably be quite weak because they're going to be dedicating so much time to running, and which is going to, make them weak because you don't really want to be lifting heavy weights. But then if all you do is lift heavy weights and you don't do cardio, then you're going to gas out quite quickly, and you know what I mean? It's just like, it's the whole thing of like, being this kind of like generalist rather than a specialist, and be, where you can, adapt and be like good at anything, or not anything, but you know what I mean? Like you can be someone who can easily sort of adapt to a new exercise because you've already got that kind of foundation there. Like it's for example, I need to start a new style of cardio, but if I've already got that foundation, then it's going to be a lot easier to get into it. It's like, I think we should all have some kind of foundation of cardio, and because the heart's the most important muscle, right? We need to train our heart to get stronger and more capable, and because if we don't do that, then our heart's going to get weaker, and that's what, if we end up getting heart attacks, you get heart failure, you get heart disease, all these different problems happen when you neglect your cardio. I'm not saying I'm the best at cardio, but it's about trying to find a way to incorporate it. Now, you could actually turn your workouts into cardio if you do it the right way, and you focus on volume instead of just trying to pound heavy weights for a few reps. If you actually do it in a way that gets your heart going, doing things like jump squats, things like that, doing short breaks between each sets so you keep your heart rate elevated. This is going to help to improve cardiovascular endurance. So, or you could just do some separate cardio stuff. I did some sled pushing yesterday, and I also went on the what is it called, the cross trainer. I actually quite like going on the cross trainer because it's kind of almost like running, but but you don't get the impact on the, so it's a good one for like low impact. Is it called cross trainer? Is it because it's like halfway between sort of running and cycling, I guess? It kind of feels like it's sort of between the two. Thank you for the 10 likes, everybody. So it's like I'll do like a bit on there, and just kind of, I also went on the ski erg machine, and just, so I want to try and improve cardio, and I also want to look into supplements to help improve that as well. I was looking into nitric oxide boosters because that's something that the nitric oxide boosters are like kind of like things like beetroot juice and stuff like that. There's a few things, also L-citrulline's meant to be a good one as well. I've also heard grape seed extract is meant to help with that by improving endothelial nitric oxide synthase. Basically means improves your body's production of that nitric oxide. Yeah, beetroot's good. It's got a lot of antioxidants, and it's a nitric oxide booster because it's high in nitrates. Foods that are high in nitrates help to increase nitric oxide. But the thing is that if you're using mouthwash, that could potentially get rid of the bacteria that is needed to then produce, to turn nitrates into nitrite. Then nitrite then gets converted into nitric oxide in the body. So having some like dark green vegetables or beetroot, things like that can help with that. but most people just don't eat enough of that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, supplements like L-citrulline could help as well. What else is there? Yeah, like I said, grapeseed extract. There's probably a few, but yeah, beetroot is like, you can do like it making like a hummus. I've had beetroot hummus before, and that's quite nice. I don't really eat beetroot like in this, just like, I don't know. I remember my granddad used to like pickled beetroot, and I wasn't really into that, but yeah, but beetroot's a good sort of yeah, good one if you want to like increase your nitric oxide. You can also do it through like humming and stuff like that, but that's going to help with vasodilation. So if someone's got high blood pressure, then nitric oxide is a good one for that. I was trying to encourage my mum to try one of those out. I don't know if she's going to buy it, but it's like nitric oxide is yeah, like I say, it's been shown to help be a vasodilator. I think it has to do with the it decreases the requirement for oxygen, I think. So therefore the heart doesn't have to work as hard, I think that's how it works anyway, but it just improves efficiency. So if you have high blood pressure, then maybe increasing nitric oxide production in your body is a way to do that. So yeah, something to consider to help to lower your resting heart rate. And I don't know if it's heart rate, but I know like blood pressure is said to be reduced by that. A lot of people end up with high blood pressure as they get older, but the thing is, right, you'll get someone who, let's say they're young, right, and they're obese, right, and they're like, oh, I've got normal blood pressure. It's like, yeah, you might have normal blood pressure when you're young, but then it's like, well, how long are you going to be able to sort of maintain that for, with that lifestyle, before things start to really unravel? Because that's what I really don't like, is that people will try and, you know, to downplay the risks of unhealthy lifestyle, and they'll just be like, oh, but you can still have healthy blood pressure. But it's like, yeah, that might be that moment, but then if you keep doing that, well, your arteries start to clog up and things like that, because that's probably going to happen down the line if you don't stop what you're doing. And because the worse your diet and your exercise and all that is, then the worse it's going to be for you. It's going to, if you continue to be in a calorie surplus and just get worse and worse, and just end up, and if you're not exercising, and you're just going to end up with, high blood pressure, like sky high. Eventually, you might end up having to go on medication and stuff. So, but if you are overweight and you're starting to get, high blood pressure and all that, then you might want to look into something to help with that, to just help to decrease your blood pressure. Things like nitric oxide boosters are said to help with that. But it's good for people who exercise. It's said to help with, because it helps with oxygen efficiency, that it can decrease the demand for oxygen, apparently. But I think it doesn't necessarily like increase your VO2 max, at least not directly anyway, but it's like, it might sort of like, it's like you don't necessarily feel like you're gassing out as much at the same intensity, because your body becomes more efficient with oxygen. So you could push yourself harder without it getting to that point. So it's just something to like look into, really. Oh, it's normally on the lower side. All right. It's probably better to be on the lower side than higher side, I guess. But if it's too low, that can be dangerous as well. But like, if you continue to have like, when people continue to, you know, put so much pressure on their body and they create all this inflammation, there's a lot of health problems that can happen down the line. So, and we've got 11 likes. Thank you very much. It's supposed to be like, was it 120 over 80 is supposed to be like the optimal amount for, you know, your blood pressure. You've got two different blood pressures. You've got your systolic blood pressure and your diastolic blood pressure. So the systolic blood pressure is the higher number, I think, and then the diastolic blood pressure is the lower one. I think my mum's was up to about 160 systolic blood pressure at one point, which is, I think it was like 160 over 100 or something like that. It was like, what the fuck? You know, that's not healthy at all, is it? So, it's obviously like probably a combination of, you know, sedentary lifestyle and, you know, piling on all that weight probably doesn't help with that, really. I think it's just because, like, when you have all that kind of extra body fat, it's going to make it a lot more difficult for your heart to pump blood around, isn't it? You know, to pump blood to all these like kind of extremities and things. That, yeah, within the range that lower and normally, yeah. I guess it's just like, if you still feel healthy though, then it's like, that's good then. Because if anything, you want to lower you want to lower blood pressure, because that means that your heart is efficient. The same with resting heart rate as well. I think mine's probably down to about, God knows, I think I'm down to probably about 50 or just below at some point. I'm not exactly sure, because I remember a few years ago it was like in the 70s, I think. It was either in the high 60s or the 70s or something like that. So not great, but as I did a lot more exercise and stuff, it's like probably dropped down about 20 points or something. It's crazy. You know, some athletes it's literally down into like the 30s. I think Lance Armstrong's was like in the 30s when he was doing the Tour de France. But someone said that I looked like I'd lost weight today too. That bonus, that's good then. It's good when people notice things. It's like when people noticed I'd gained weight. I don't know if you saw my last short, but I did a short where I showed like progress from 2019 to present. So 6 years of progress, but there was times where I was slacking off a bit and not doing as much as I should have done, but it is what it is. It's just, but most people probably wouldn't have made that much progress in that time because they're not that committed. The amount of progress I've even made in the less than 2 years, actually, is crazy. In fact, it's only been about a year and a half, actually. It was actually around May last year where I really started to lock in properly. And yeah, it's hard to even believe like how much progress I've made in just that time. But it's like, you know, you just gotta just sort of stick it out and just, you know, just accept that Rome's not built in a day, and you just keep going, you keep chugging along, and one day things will work out, I guess. But I know I was kind of moaning about this whole thing of people seem to only valuing that, you know, a master of one thing. But I think it's impressive when someone can be pretty good at a lot of things. Like, I think we shouldn't just be valued if we're just good at one thing. So anyway, I'm gonna get going in a sec. So yeah. But yeah, at least it seems to have pretty much stopped raining now, so it's supposed to be a bit unsettled at the moment, so it's just like, yeah, not great, is it? Just gotta do what you gotta do, just gotta keep yourself warm, you know? So yeah, I should be back on later, all being well, but I'm gonna get going, so yeah.